Welcome to Brand News, a podcast. I'm your host, Charlotte Emily, a fashion podcast sharing news behind brands. Each episode, I'll speak to people from within the industry to get a better understanding of their job roles, as well as discussing the latest fashion news. Welcome, Maeva. Thank you so much for coming onto my podcast. Really excited. I'm interviewing you here in Paris, which is super exciting.
Hello, Charlotte. Thank you for coming to Paris.
Yeah, of course. How do you feel? Because it's Paris Fashion Week right now.
Yeah.
How is it for you to live in this city and work in this city?
When you are living in the city, in Paris, you don't realize that. You realize that it's Fashion Week, but when you are not. Now I'm freelancing, so I'm not working today for the Fashion Week, so I'm like in my bubble.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I will see more people around, and it's nice to go to the coffee and see people always for the looks, for the styling. And it's always exciting to see people from everywhere and to see all the people very well stylish and
inspiring,
I can say.
When you agreed to come on the podcast, I looked up your LinkedIn. I was very impressed, and I
really
definitely. I think your CV is probably a dream to people who work in fashion. You've worked at Balenciaga, Chloe, Givenchy, and then you went back to Balenciaga, I saw. And then you worked at Zara, where you moved to Spain.
Exactly.
And then came back to Paris and worked as a designer for Margiela. So at Margiela, you were the women's ready-to-wear design manager. How would you kind of describe the role of a design manager to someone, maybe who doesn't work in fashion or is aspiring to maybe fill out that role one day?
The role of design coordinator or manager is the right hand of the head of design, head of ready-to-wear. It means that you have the link between the artistic director and the designers and the development parts. So you have to feed the artistic director in terms of creative things, like in terms of fabrics, in terms of colors, in terms of iconographic pictures, mood boards. And you have to know in Margiela, for example, the designers are 3D designers. They are working since they are starting from vintages. Mm-hmm. So they are cutting vintages, restructured vintages to make 3D. And it's interesting because after, when you have this 3D, you have showing to the artistic director, and after you have to give life to the 3D. So it was my role with the head of design to imagine now we have the 3D is like a kind of destruction, is kind of unwearable for outside. Is a toile.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine the fabrics or the techniques that you have put on the garment and give a life and give to the development, because they are doing the prototype. Mm-hmm. So that's all my role to give the direction to the development to do the prototype of this.
Yeah. Amazing. You were there for, I think, a year and a half.
Yeah.
So I imagine you definitely saw some fashion weeks come and go. How is it from that role that you did working on the shows and working towards the shows? How does that work?
It's a lot of stress, a lot of meetings with the artistic director. It was John Galliano, and a lot of hours. To be ready for the show. Because you are at the same time, the artistic director, you have to know, is creating a story. It's creating from the brief that you have, like 6 months before, or even 1 year before, sometimes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You have sometimes, so the artistic director gives you like a small brief, like sometimes it's just a picture, sound, movies, and after you have to help him to create the stories. So he's doing all the casting part with styling from outside and stylist. And after that, you are creating the story through the garment, and he's creating the story with the casting, with the models that he's gonna choose, and all the music that he's gonna choose for the show, and etc. Yeah, it's not easy because sometimes you have a direction. It was showgirls, for example, and after it's like, okay, I would like to have the same story, have the haute couture, like a girl with a guy with having a love story, but with a stepmother, blah 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 blah, and it's always hard to be, to think about this story and be in the garment and find the link between the garment and the story. I don't know if
Do you mean like bringing the story that is briefed to you back into the collection pieces?
Exactly.
Yeah. So how long before would you say that you get the brief?
Oh, it was long. It was 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, because after it's Margiela, so we don't care a lot about numbers, and it's more like
the focus
give
on
freedom to the creativity.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. And can you share some of the insights of the briefs that you were given on the things that you've worked on?
Yeah, it was one of the. I mean, after it wasn't so obvious at the show, but it was a sandstorm story. It was the same story as the haute couture, that this couple is going through sandstorm. So you have to see on the garment the rest of the sandstorm. So it was working on the jacquard, on the sand flock. On the print.
So from the brief, then you look to the fabrics.
Exactly.
What's the next step after that?
So you have to show the techniques to the artistic director.
Nice. Which teams would you work with from your role? Because you said earlier that you were then the right hand of the artistic director.
Of the head of design.
Of the head of design. So many roles flying around. What would you say, with what teams would you work?
I was working with 3 designers. And
3 designers, okay.
One Portuguese. It was nice because it was one Japanese, one Swedish, half Chinese, and Portuguese. So it was very, very, very multicultural. So we were just speaking in English. And it was really nice because he remembered me to my experience in Zara, because you are always working in not in your language. I told you the development team.
Yeah. Nice. You also worked for Zara, as I said, and how was that? I'm wondering, how was that for you to go from luxury, high end, to more fast fashion and obviously big numbers and very different world, I would say. How was that?
I mean, I really liked it working for Zara was a very, very nice experience for me. And because, first of all, I was working before in Balenciaga, and I was at the coordination. So it means coordination, it means you are working in a studio.
Okay.
But you are doing all the planification, organization of the studio. It's not like you are in a creation, you are all doing. You are scheduling the fitting, you are assisting to all the fitting, taking notes, and recruiting all the models and fitting models. It's like very, you are kind of the police of the, of the design. Police design.
That's a great word.
Yeah, and it was really interesting because I think it was there where I nourished my creativity, where I found that I always knew that I was creative, but where I was, okay, I really like to be in the studio. I really like all the, I really quickly understood how others work artistic direction.
Yeah.
With a brief and that I told you for Margiela.
Yeah.
But I was, okay, I would love to work to wear other women around the world. And at this time, I was very excited by the Zara business. I was wondering how it's working, how this giant is working. And it's quite a fast fashion, but you always had the cool side. I don't know why, after I knew. But so I had the opportunity to go to Zara, and I was working for the studio for Zara Women, and it was really exciting because it was I was working for the campaign, so it was a cool side of Zara because you are always working with a famous stylist from outside. It was at this time Maeva Mellet, Francesca Burns, Carl Templer. And after, I have to find it was my first time that I have to do mood boards and find a capsule collection, understand in terms of trends what was more exciting for people for all around the world. That's why I think I was more trendy when I was working in Zara, because you are always be at the top of the trends, knew where even who are the best designer, who are the coolest person to follow, is always what is the best color for this year, and
you need to be on top of all of the things.
Exactly. So it's not easy, to be honest, because you have always find the coolness, so it was really exciting because even you have people like fabrics manufacturers are coming to you and showing you what is the best fabrics and what is the best trend at this time. So it's wonderful when you are you love designing, you love to, and you have budget, it's very cool.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine. What made you want to move back to Paris again?
It was personally.
Yeah.
It was because I stayed there 4 or 5 years. I don't remember well. And it was very nice, but I was far from my family.
Missing home.
Yeah. Even if I love Spain, but
I can imagine.
I think you have to, in fashion you always have your time, and it's kind of will.
Yeah.
And it's kind of every 5 years you have to change.
Yeah.
It's mentally I'm a bit like that. I have to change.
Does that happen a lot between designers? Because in business of fashion and Vogue business, you read, of course, all of these articles and news articles about designers, swapping around between brands. But is that also the fact, or is that also the case within the teams?
I think so. Yeah. It's always hard to. It's always very stressful. It's not. Fashion from outside is a lot of, is sparkling, is a very attractive world. But finally, when you are inside, is a lot of pressure, and I think when you are creative, you are always you need to be feeling. You need to find your creativity. You need to. So I think after years. I'm like that, and I met a lot of creatives, and we are all the same. After years, you get bored, so you have to change.
Yeah,
it's
creatively bored.
Even creatively, after you are not very useful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's what we said. We need personally have time, and it's not like a normal job.
Yeah. No, it's not normal.
It's not normal world.
Yeah. Oh. No, I remember being in Paris a lot when I was buying the collections, and then the hours are pretty crazy. Like I remember one time I went to the Celine showroom at like 10 in the evening, I think, and it was just as if it was in the afternoon, because the showroom was so busy, and it was just normal, which I love about it. But yeah, that's, I think, the fashion week at that time. But I was also wondering, how is the stress from inside working up to the show? I mean, obviously it's a lot of hours. How many hours are we talking?
Oh my God, I remember in Balenciaga, we always slept there the last night before the show. I'm not kidding. It was like, it's because I was at the coordination, so I have to check all the pieces by pieces to check if they're okay, by models, blah, blah, blah. So it's very, very stressful. You can't imagine how stress is like... you have the last fitting normally. It depends at what time is your show, but the last fitting on the last schedules, and the last retouche is at the end. So you can't, you can't play with the time, like. No. It's very, very stressful. Yeah. So you are eating a lot, drinking a lot, and smoking a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah, so you take weight and
after the show is finished, what happens then? The show is done, everyone is proud, I assume, and then everyone goes off on holiday, or you go to the office the next day?
Clean.
Clean.
Yeah, you clean the studio, and after everybody goes
take some time off.
You need to you need the time, you need a break, because normally we are working even on the weekend, very late at night, so you need you need a rehab, and personally it's very unique time. And after you have a lot of excitation like that, you have to, you are a bit not depressed after, but it's kind of...
Is it you come down from a high?
Exactly. You are a bit disconnected from the reality as well, because you are not in your normal schedule. So you are not like, you have to reconnect with the normal life.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially sleeping in the showroom. I'm wondering also, for people listening who are interested in working in design, or maybe a student is listening and is interested in going in that direction, what did you study?
I studied. My background is kind of not common, because I studied fashion of business. I studied in ISEM, is a branch of S-Mode Paris.
Okay.
And because I think at that time I was, oh my God, I always knew that I was creative, but I have to understand how works the industry, how works. Maybe it was kind of my parents' desire more than mine, because I think I always wanted to be a style designer, but my parents wanted to have a secure job. So I went there, and I studied like 3 years, and I started to be involved in a studio of Galeries Lafayette.
Okay.
And I was doing the trends books, and I was doing the looks for the catalog, for the style, all the styling. And I was, oh my God, I really want to do that. I don't want to be in the business part. I don't like it. And finally, time after time, I learned on my
you learned on the job.
On my jobs. Yeah.
So how did you go from, because your first job after Galeries Lafayette was at Balenciaga?
Yeah, I was at Balenciaga. I was doing the coordination, and I was, as I told you, I was, oh my God, I really like to be in the studio, but I need to work on creative stuff. And it was finally on Zara that I became a designer.
Okay. And is that where you felt like, okay, this is really what I want? So that kind of felt like your dream job?
Yeah, but you are always, when you studied like marketing and business, you're always, a kind of, your angel say 100%.
Yeah.
We're talking to you like
someone whispering. Yeah.
Whispering to you like, maybe it's better if you become a buyer, or if you are like in marketing, like a project manager. Maybe it's better for you.
Yeah,
You're gonna win more money, and it's not true. Finally, if you are, what I can say is when you are passionate and you like art and you like you have this feeling, you are like more sensitive than the others. It means that you have something different. So it's always that I can say to students and people around that I'm not sure that, because when you are creative you are always scared of yourself maybe. So you have always to follow yourself, your first feelings.
Yeah, your gut feeling.
Yeah.
You earlier mentioned about working quite internationally. Obviously, every fashion week here in Paris, the shows are here. Everything is designed here. Do you also look at international markets in terms of trends?
Of course. I always, I always looking for Italian brands, because I really, if I could move tomorrow, I would be working in Milan. That's my dream. But I always, taking Japanese brands and Korean brands, even in the US, even from Brazilian. I always attracted by different cultures and
And how do you stay on top of the trends if you're working in a fashion house or for a fashion house?
It's not easy. That I can say. That I told you that I think I was more trendy when I was working in Zara, because when you are in a house, you are not looking for fashion, you are not looking for the other brand. Maybe the best, like Prada, you can see the shows of Prada or Pharrell Williams, because it's a kind of new vibe and etc. But you are more like into the books and arts and painters and vintages and I don't know, like it could be food but not trends. It's not, you are not, when you are in a house, when you are working in, it's creativity first.
Yeah.
So it's totally different way of working. It's like, first, of course, when you are working for Zara, you have to be the best in everything, because you have to attract all
be on
the
top
women,
of it.
be on top of it around the world, and you have to attract people. A girl from New York, a girl from Tokyo, from Australia, from Colombia. It's very, very difficult to be on top of the coolness, and
Were often collections also adjusted for the countries?
In Zara, you have like a project manager for each country. So they are buying. When you are like doing a collection, you are doing for all around the world. But after, you have like project managers that are like picking the collection for their country. So they are adapting the collection for their country.
Trends change.
Trends change.
You're now working as a freelancer, so you eventually, after working in all of these houses and for Zara, you decided to work for yourself, which I do also, so I can totally imagine why. What are some of your career goals?
Now, I wanted to be a freelance, because before Margiela I was freelance, and I was between Zara and Margiela, and I was helping before Margiela. The brands, the small brands, more like
Consulting?
Yeah, consulting,
Yeah.
exactly, in terms of creation, in terms of trends. And I was giving the inputs to the small brands to be more creative, to find their creativity. And it was very interesting because I was like, okay, this color maybe is working very well, but if I really believe in this color, it's just because I have a feeling, and you don't have to copy. You can find your own creativity.
Yeah.
So that was my goals. And now I really want to be transversal, to work with luxury houses, and work like fast fashion, like and extend my skills to maybe the decoration and.
I can imagine if that's kind of like the arts side.
I can.
Can you share one of the favorite shows that you've worked on?
I think it was my show with Nicola. It was at Balenciaga, and it was I think one of his last. And it was in the big tower, crystal tower in the 15th that you can see close to the river, close to the Seine. And it was on the top of this tower, and it was very, very, very exciting. Because we knew that it was more or less one of his last. And it was.
What was the brief there? What were you creating?
I wasn't creating at this time because I was at the coordination, but it was very futuristic. Like I would not really remember, but I remember it was all this jumper with a print of not Star Wars print, but it was from intergalactic prints, and we had like trousers in nylon and. At the beginning of the show, we have like a very cropped top with a very Spanish skirt.
Okay.
From flamenco. No, it was really.
Something different.
It was very Nicola style, but futuristic, but at the same time very from the roots from Balenciaga, from Cristobal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing memory. Nice. Okay, so for someone interested in pursuing a career in design, what are the characteristics that are most important, do you think?
Yeah, you have to understand who you are, and you have to trust on yourself, because it's really important that I come back on what I said, like you have this strong sensibility, and you have to, is always your first thought is always a good one. So when you are working in sketches, or when you are touching on your fabrics, or when you are seeing a new embroidery, or when you like pictures, it's always your first thought that you have to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something stupid, maybe that I said.
No,
but it's
definitely not stupid.
It's very important to trust yourself.
Yeah.
And not be involved by the others. You have to always keep your bubble. Because you know that you have talent, because if you are here, it's because you are. But after, when you are working in a house or for a brand, is the hardest thing is to not be influenced by the others, by your colleagues, or by your boss, or by your artistic director. You always have to trust yourself.
I was actually going to ask, because you said about holding on to your first gut instinct. Is there anything?
Yeah, it's instincts.
Instinct. Yeah. Is there anything that you've held on to really tight when others maybe didn't believe in your artistic direction? an example that you could share?
I mean, when you are in front of John Galliano, for example, it's hard to be confident, you know what I mean? Because of course he's a giant, he's a very talented guy. And when you are in front of an artistic director, it's important, even for him, for his team or her team, to have people around him that can feed him in terms of creativity and in terms of techniques and in terms of work, that you have to prove him that not prove, because it's not a good word, because proving, it would be in your mind that you have to prove, but it's not proving. You just have to be confident and show him that new things that you can bring to him, you know, like so
trust the creative process.
And it was nice for that. It was a thing that I like with John, is he was always giving the opportunity, even for the interns, to show their creativity.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
That's why I really like to work with him, because he always finds the creativity and push the creativity.
Yeah.
And you know, even when you are starting from the beginning, when you are intern or you are assistant, it's not easy to show your creativity sometimes, because you have to do a lot of things. You are full of work because you are always doing the work what people don't want to do. And it's not easy. And it was not the case in Margiela. I mean, with John, he always wants and leave people, even of this position, to show what he can translate, he can have deeply inside, you know, like that's why it's really nice for him.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maeva, for being a guest on the podcast. It was amazing to learn more about your world, and I hope people kind of understand what it takes to be in the design part of fashion. So thank you so much for sharing all of your amazing experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. It was nice.